All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show at Levi's Stadium after training camp practice number 12 is officially in the books. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And we're also brought to you, this video is brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Check them out along the Monterey Peninsula in Pacific Grove. Call my good friend Anthony Catania down there. And thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, day 12 down here in Santa Clara. A number of interesting things today at practice and around the 49ers. Let's get right into it. You know who's playing really well in this camp, I think, is Chris Conley. Conley, to me, looks really good. He had a beautiful catch early in the practice today. He had a couple catches throughout the practice. Chris Conley, to me, is looking really, really good. Another guy that's looking good is Samuel Womack, the third. He had a PBU today early in practice that was fantastic, and he looked great all throughout practice. Womack had 4 or 5 balls that he broke up, knocking the ball out of the air. I asked Sorensen about him. You know, this is a guy who kind of fell out of favor last year, but he looks fantastic this summer. The wide receiver, Frank Darby, you know, I don't think Darby's going to have a chance to make this team, but, you know, he can really move. I mean, I don't know what his 40 time is, but on the practice field, he really looked fast. If there's one camp battle to really hone in on, I think it's at center, where Jake Brendel, who 2 years ago was a Pro Bowl alternate, has taken a back step. And now I think it's really down to, you know, there's Brendel, there's Drake Nugent, who looks really, really good, the rookie from Michigan. There's Nick Zakelj, the former Fordham offensive guard who's now playing center. And those 3 guys are at center. You still have Ben Barch. You also have John Feliciano. Dominic Pooney can play center. The Niners are really well fortified at center. If there's going to be, if you said to me, give me one player that could be a surprise cut for the 49ers, I might say Jake Brendel, just from the standpoint of he makes $5 million and there's a lot of replacements and guys that can play his spot in this camp. And I think Brendel's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I definitely think they could save money by going with one of the other options at center. But that is going to be something to watch for this summer. You know, Brendel did take a little bit of a backslide last year. You know, how does he look in the preseason? How does Drake Nugent look in the preseason? Does Nick Zakelj come of age at center? He's big, he's smart, he's tough. Can he play center? And then, of course, there's Feliciano and others. Ben Barch is a real good center candidate. So that is a position to watch this summer, starting right away in preseason, the center spot for the 49ers. The competition's pretty severe. Other guys who caught my eye today, D. Winters. D. Winters had a really nice play against the run. The Niners have signed running back Keyshawn Vaughn, the former Vanderbilt star, and he showed some explosiveness today on a run. He's about 5'9", 215 pounds. Really loved him at Vanderbilt. And, you know, he's with Tampa for a while, and he's bounced around to a couple spots. I think he was in New England last year. Keyshawn Vaughn, you know, be interesting to see what he and Matt Breida do in this preseason. Both those guys have been signed here in just the last week or so. And I thought Vaughn had a couple really explosive plays today in practice. We talked to Nick Sorensen after practice. He said that, you know, that if you, you know, it's funny. It's like he was talking about a number of different things today. One of the things that he got into was that Debo looks great, and that he's moving around great. What Sorensen was preaching that I wanted to get to is that he said, you know, we're at this point now where we're just trying to perfect like minute details. Every single day, we're just trying to get into the smallest details and make sure we leave no stone uncovered. And that's kind of what this camp has been about. He said they're working on just the really small details on trying to perfect their game, preparing for week 1. But he did also say that Debo has looked fantastic. And Debo really has. And we talked to Debo later today as well. And, you know, he knows what Ayuk's going through. And, you know, he's just out here playing ball. And he's in great shape. And he looks like he's primed for maybe the best year of his career. By the way, the NFL Network did report today that that Brandon Ayuk is more likely to be traded than to sign a contract extension with the 49ers. That's what the NFL Network was reporting this afternoon. You know, as far as themes today, I would say Chris Conley was a great, you know, is starting to come on as a player. He looks really, really good. I mean, it's hard to believe this guy once upon a time had a 45-inch vert and ran 4.35, and you know, he came out in the draft and in 2015 or 2016, he was a third-round pick. Here he is, 2024. He's still doing his thing. Conley's looking good in this camp and made a great play down the field. All the Niner young DBs are looking good. Sam Womack, Renardo Green, Ambry Thomas had a great practice today. The safeties, Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa. Mustafa did have a fumble recovery and, you know, returned it for a touchdown. He also had a knee problem late or knee issue late in the practice, and I didn't see it per se, but I heard about it, that he had a knee, you know, ailment of some kind, but came back in. So we'll kind of look for that going forward. But yeah, Renardo Green, Ambry Thomas, Malik Mustafa, a lot of the Niners' young DBs are really, really looking good. George Odum had 2 picks today of Brock Purdy, and he is starting to play at a really, really high level. Another guy who we haven't talked at all about in this camp, but he's caught my eye the last 3 or 4 days, is Curtis Robinson. You know, Curtis Robinson is trying to kind of escape the label of special teams linebacker and show that he can play from scrimmage. And he has looked fantastic in this camp. You know, all this talk about who are the backup linebackers, I think Curtis Robinson is going to get a lot of play in the preseason. Maybe one of the highlights of the day was Brock Purdy had a strike down the field to Jawan Jennings. That was a beautiful pass. Ambry Thomas, I thought, may have been the MVP of the day. I mean, it seemed like every time I looked up, he was knocking balls out of the air. But he really looked good. Cody Schrader continues to look good. The running back rookie from Missouri continues to shine. Dobbs had a pass play to Mason Pline where he hit Pline, the rookie tight end, in the flat. Really nice catch by Pline. I thought Womack showed that he could play man coverage late in this practice and had it really look good. To me, this was the Renardo Green, Samuel Womack, Ambry Thomas day, because those 3 young DBs all could make this team, could not make this team, and all of them are playing at an exceptionally high level. Demo Lenore had a blocked field goal. We saw him come through and knife through and block a field goal in the special teams part of the practice. Dobbs, maybe the play of the day was Dobbs going down the field to Tay Martin, who made a diving catch. You know, Tay Martin has great ball skills. He's not the most explosive runner, but if you're looking for a red zone threat, I mean, you could do so much worse than Tay Martin. He can jump. He's got great hands. He just hasn't quite gotten that opportunity yet. As I said, Cody Schrader continued to look good. We talked to Fred Warner after practice. Fred said that the locker room is unimpacted by the Ayuk trade. He said guys are not, you know, it's business as usual. Guys understand it's a business. Guys respect Brandon. They love Brandon, but this locker room is not on pins and needles waiting for this trade to go through, according to Fred Warner. One note on Isaac Yiadom. He's missed the last couple days because of an injury. We don't know exactly what injury it is. Also, Andrew Filipponi in Pittsburgh says that he's put the 49ers trading Brandon Ayuk to the Steelers at 99.9% done. That he says the names going back to the 49ers are going to be Dan Moore, James Daniels, Calvin Austin, and maybe a draft choice. He says that the Niners and the Steelers have already agreed to the compensation, and that all that's going on right now are just the contract details are being hammered out between the Steelers and Ayuk, and that this is going to be done in a short amount of time. The 49ers did work out a wide receiver today, Robbie Anderson, who's now called Robbie Chosen. The veteran worked out for the 49ers today. Also, the Niners released safety Eric Harris today, as well as wide receiver Tariq Owens. Tariq Owens, Terrell's kid, had a broken hand, so he gets released with an injury designation. Keyshawn Vaughn was signed today. According to Andrew Filipponi, he says the Steelers are willing to pay Ayuk $30 to $31 million per year. So I will say this. you know, if I were the 49ers, I think I would just hold off and not make the trade until I absolutely got exactly what I wanted, because when the trade's done, it's done. And, you know, Dan Moore's, you know, I'm an A&M fan. He played at A&M. He's a backup offensive tackle. James Daniels would now be on his third team. He's a solid guard who played at Iowa, played with the Bears, and now the Steelers. Calvin Austin is a tiny little receiver with great speed. But those guys don't come anywhere close to approaching the impact or the value of 26-year-old Brandon Ayuk at the apex of his career. And so I hope that those names, you know, are not what's coming to the 49ers. I'm hoping that the 49ers will get a significant player and a significant pick coming back from Pittsburgh. But I do think we're going to see Brandon Ayuk moving from the Niners to the Steelers. My guess would be in the next 24 hours. That does it for our update. Thanks to all of the people at thanks for all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. And once again, thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.